Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. And we are sporting the Broom watch tartan today. And lovely it is too. How are you all? Hope you're doing very, very well. Now, as you can see from this little roster here, well, except for that Rastafarian interplanetary hunter, forget about him. But chainsaws and Leatherface and Chop Top and all that kind of stuff. And Hey Music Lover, which is his anthem from Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. Tobe Hooper's often neglected and yet fantastic sequel to the seminal, gut-wrenching, visceral horror that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from the early 70s. An unparalleled classic, we all agree. And spawning so many movies in his franchise. Sequels, reboots, prequels, oh god. Sequels to sequels, prequels to sequels and reboots. It's got everything. It's got everything. It's a typical franchise. The term flogging a dead horse does come to mind. And yeah, I've got to say, I love Tobe Hooper's mid-80s sequel to his original classic. He didn't want to do it. I've covered it before a lot in the past. He didn't want to do it. He was in a deal, a 3-picture deal with Cannon Films, Golden Globus and all that sort of stuff. So Invaders from Mars and Life Force, yes, Life Force, and a Texas Chainsaw sequel. So he did it, and Tobe Hooper had always said that, oh, the original's a comedy. It's got so many funny elements. You can't take it seriously. Well, the audiences didn't really see the funny side of it because it is a genuinely grueling experience. Hardly any on-screen violence or gore, but my god, its permeating atmosphere of absolute dread and just undiluted depravity is just, it's unparalleled. There's nothing else that comes close to it. So he then thought, well, okay, people didn't get the joke first time round, so I'll turn it into a satire, a complete satire, and a very, very, very dark black comedy with Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, which I've always applauded, and I love it to bits. And then, of course, you know, you get Part 3, Part 4, Part New Beginning, Part, oh God, and then that ludicrous 3D version, which was only, what? It seems like only a few years ago, but it's probably about 10 years ago now, because time creeps on, doesn't it? And with that girl with the great big, you need a hell of a chainsaw to hack through those mighty blennies. Alexandra Dardano, oh, do you know what? Someone correct me. I don't know. Who cares? Film is shit. Some nice gore effects in it. The 3D wasn't too bad, but it spun itself as being a direct sequel to the original movie. But the timelines were so screwed up. There's suddenly mobile phones were being used and all that, and it's just what? It didn't work. It didn't work. In continuity, it was garbage, utter garbage. But you also got before that. You got the remake, the reboot, and the prequel to the remake from Platinum Dunes with Jessica Biel and Lee Ermey. Oh my God, Lee Ermey playing that. He's not really a sheriff, is he? As we find out. No, he's not at all. And there's lots of leg chainsawing and brutality, and it's a really shockingly nasty movie. And the prequel to it worked as well. Those two films really meshed. Whereas, like, when you go with like Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 from Tobe Hooper with the original movie, we do move on a little bit, and you got this guy, you got Nubbins there, but you can tell this is a reworked, sort of retweaked version. The family's not the same as what it was before, but it still works. But continuity-wise and direct sequel-wise, you know, you've got oh my God, crazy dude from Blue Velvet. What the hell's his name? And Speed. I can see his face. I can't think of his name. Oh my God, how much whiskey have I drunk today? Not enough. It transpires. So I'll rectify that right now. Cheers, y'all. I still can't think of his name though. But the continuity was, again, it was a bit convoluted, but it worked in the overall pantheon of Chainsaw Mayhem and Leatherface doing his thing. And of course, we know that they can't leave a franchise alone. They've got to rework it. So this is what we're coming to, folks. This is the reboot. Again, it's coming out in 2022. It's going straight to Netflix. It's not a Netflix movie. It was going out for like theatrical distribution, and then a lot of shit happened behind the scenes, and now it's going straight to Netflix. Hang on, I've got some notes here. February the 18th, 2022. Apparently, it's been made. It was made in Bulgaria. You know, if ever you wanted to stand in for Texas, you know, that arid, sweaty, mozzie infested, but just drenched in body sweat and like that dark, depraved sort of atmosphere. I know, Texans are going like, that's not where I live. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre always had that permeating atmosphere of just, you felt icky, you felt, it was too sticky, it was horrible, it was cloying. Bulgaria, folks, is not like that. Now, we've had some teaser imagery from it, and then yesterday, as I'm recording this, yesterday dropped the teaser trailer for it, about a minute long or so, and yeah, it does not look like Texas. You don't see a great deal. A lot of it's interior stuff. I'll discuss it more, but this film, this new film, has had already a turbulent sort of backstory. There were two brothers who were directing this originally, from a Fede Alvarez original story. Fede Alvarez did the Evil Dead remake, which, now I've discussed that a lot before. I was not a fan of it originally at all, being a massive fan of the original Evil Dead movies and Sam Raimi. I just thought Fede Alvarez's mean-spirited, completely unlikable characters. I didn't root for anybody in it the first time I saw it, and I was off that day to go to the premiere of Evil Dead, and I reviewed it for AV Forums, and I was mightily gutted by it. I thought, this is shit. There's some gore there, yeah, it's intense, fabulous soundtrack, but I just thought, I don't like anyone, I don't care about anyone, and anyway, that was then. I have rewatched it, and I did do a video on my sort of retake on it, and I do hold it in quite high regard now for its intensity, for its bravura qualities, and Fede Alvarez and Don't Breathe. I like Don't Breathe, but Jane Levy or Levi, there's been a public falling out between her and Fede Alvarez, and she wasn't going to be in Don't Breathe Part 2. Well, she never was meant to be in Don't Breathe Part 2, but there's fallout there. And you get this sense, Fede Alvarez did the original story for this Texas Chainsaw reboot. And they had these two brothers who were, always, two brothers, the brothers so-and-so are directing this. It doesn't fucking work. There's so many times. Well, and don't go shouting Matrix at me, because that's changed everything. Because they're not brothers anymore, are they? They're sisters. As you were, folks, as you were. Life goes on. There's room for all of us. But anyway, so these two brothers, after a week's filming in Bulgaria, disagreements across the board, walked. Did they walk, or were they led out, blindfolded, with guns to the backs of their heads? Anyway, they're gone. So a new guy come in, and his name is, it's not a name that trips off the tongue. His name is David Blue Garcia. David Blue Garcia. And from what I can see, he's directed one movie, and some TV episodes. Well, that doesn't really hold you in great high esteem, does it? But hey, look, I am not going to diss on this guy because he could come up with the goods. He could, of course he could. No one knew Tobe Hooper when he directed the original masterpiece. So for God's sake, wow, raw talent, and that film is raw. That can shine through. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt on that one, or give him the benefit of the doubt. But it's still a story, original story by Fede Alvarez. But it's been reworked by, I've got my little notes here somewhere, Chris Thomas Devlin. I don't know him. So he's done the actual screenplay for it. And what else have we got there that I do know of? Well, Fede Alvarez is now producing it from his original story. So now, what this film is, what this new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie is, and it's called Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Don't you hate that? The Thing prequel was just called The Thing again. Halloween 2018 is just called Halloween again. Fuck's sake. Try and find some individuality. Do you know what I mean? Don't just call your film what the original masterpiece was called and then, oh, we're going to get some of that. That's going to filter down to us. No. Be original. You're hyping it up so everyone knows what your film is. So give it its own title, its own identity. Don't be stealing. And inevitably, as what we always seem to find, pissing on the original heritage. So, anyway, so this is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, I presume. And it's a direct sequel to the original, Tobe Hooper's original. So all the sequels, including Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, that's all gone. That's all gone. Where did they get that idea from? Oh, Blumhouse and Halloween. Halloween 2018 jettisoned all the sequels after the 1978 original masterpiece from John Carpenter. And yet, brought in elements from Halloween 2, which they wanted to ditch, but it brought in loads of... Anyway, look, I've discussed that ad infinitum, and I'm fucking sick of Halloween anyway. That franchise now, it sucks balls, mate, it sucks balls. And now they're going to do the same thing, it seems to me, with Texas Chainsaw. So they're going to ditch all those sequels, and again, like Halloween, you're going to have Michael Myers. Well, Michael Myers is aged, and he's now, God, I don't know, 60 fucking whatever. Well, now Leatherface is, well, it says in the notes he's 60, but I don't think that works out. The original film, 1974, so hang on a minute. And now we're 2021, May 2021, it's going to come out in 22. I can't do the maths right now, I can't. I've been drinking, so hey, sue me. But that doesn't work out. So Leatherface has survived the original movie. Clearly, it's Chainsaw 12 at the end. As Sally Hardesty, who is returning, although of course Marilyn Burns has now died, as has Gunnar Hansen, who played Leatherface in the original movie. He's died. His place was taken in all the other movies as well by other stuntmen, actors, and boogeymen with masks on. And he's now played by a guy called Mark Burnham. Mark Burnham and Chainsaw him. But he's playing an older guy. It's Old Man Leatherface. Well, we had Old Man Logan. That worked. That definitely worked. We've got Old Man Michael Myers. I'm not saying any more about that, but fuck off. So now you're doing it with Leatherface. Now, Michael Myers is the bogeyman. And I don't want any more arguments on this. He's a supernatural force. That he can go on. Doesn't matter. Body parts blown off, set on fire, hit by cars, shot again, stabbed, beaten. Doesn't matter. He's supernatural. Leatherface is not supernatural. So Leatherface now, he was the idiot sibling of the Sawyer family. He had, let's be politically correct, he had learning difficulties. But after his original family is gone, This is the story. He has now gone into hiding. Gone into hiding. Where? And has taken up residency somewhere else. Now, I think, I've heard sort of rumours, and I haven't read too much into this, but he's living with his mother? His mother? I don't know. I look in the cast list, and you find Alice Krige. Alice Krige, the Borg Queen! Alice Krige. Ghost Story. Sleepwalkers. Alice Kriege's a great genre queen. Not a scream queen, she's always the bitch. She's the monster. But she's playing someone who is in the cast list, from what I've seen. It's kind of cryptic. It's Mrs. C or Mrs. G or something. But in my mind, I'm thinking the only way that could possibly work, because I've heard he's living in a house with his mother. Right, the Sawyer mother, who we never met before, so, you know. Because Leatherface played Mother. He was the sibling, he was the chainsaw wielding nut job, but he was also the guy that prepared the meals. Oh, we know what was on the plates, don't we? But he played mum all the time. He put on women's faces. He put on wigs and put lipstick on and all that kind of stuff. So he was Mother. So now we've got a mother in this. Now, look, this is only stuff that I've heard. I don't know it for a fact, but he's meant to be living with his mother in hiding, and he's tried to go. Say in hiding, he's tried to go into like society. So he's got a job in a butcher's. Right. Well, if you look at the trailer, you look at the screenshots that they've put out so far. As I say, it's Bulgaria, and it fucking looks like Bulgaria as well. It does not look like a plaza in Texas. It looks like a cobbled, sort of oldie-weldy, the old medieval world meeting the modern world in, Europe, Eastern Europe. It don't look like Texas. No, it don't. And into this environs, you have this sort of ghost town in Texas. This is a story. And people are trying to buy up places around there and turn them into hotels and, I don't know, maybe an amusement park. Who knows? A chainsaw, log flume. Fucking I don't know. A fast food joint with like, hey, these are the Marilyn Benz burgers. Yay! And Franklin, this is the crippled burger. It comes out in a little wheelchair. But they're buying up properties there. And in a camper van, very similar to the first movie, you have a bunch of young people. I'm not going to call them teens, although they probably are. And of course, these guys are going to be multiple ethnic, denominations, and they're going to contrive to end up in the clutches of Leatherface. And one by one, they'll be butchered, tortured, and chainsawed. Yeah. Now, we've also got Sally Hardesty, Marilyn Burns, her character, who survives at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And God, what a performance that is, and what a situation to find yourself in. Your friends butchered, hacked apart. You're strapped to a chair. You're getting your head pummeled by some almost corpse. He's 99% dead, but Grandpa, he's still the best in the business. He's hitting the head. The hammer falls out of his hand all the time. Oh jeez! And she leaps out the window. She leaps out. A glass plunge she does twice in that movie, and then a final one she gets out, she runs away, and you get you get the whole stuff on the road outside. People are getting hit by juggernauts, and great big wrenches getting hurled at people. The one bit of gore, Leatherface's chainsaw drops into his own leg slightly and just cuts through some flesh, and he goes, oh! And a bit of blood oozes out. But he survives. Excuse me. So we do take on from all of that. But this new gang seem to contrive to find themselves in the environment of this now, Leatherface. Now, Leatherface, hiding in society and blending in. For how many fucking years is that again? This is a guy with learning difficulties. He cannot interact with society. Oh, he's great with meat. He's great with butchery. So, yeah, maybe he can get a job. But I think you'd be a bit suspect about this guy. This lumbering brute. You know, I'm like, I know, went to some killings just down the road. And they were looking for somebody rather... Because... Well, Sally Hardesty returns in this movie as well. Sadly, it's not Marilyn Burns. Like Gunnar Hansen, who played Leatherface, Marilyn Burns died a good few years ago. So we've got a new girl playing in now. Well, I say girl, because she's going to be older as well. She's Olwen Furrer, or Furore, as Sally Hardesty. Don't quite know how she's going to come back to this, but it does sound horribly, and I'm sure you agree, horribly reminiscent of like, well, we're bringing back Michael Myers, so we've got to bring back, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis as well. We've got to bring her back. Laurie Strode, we've got to bring her back as well. God almighty, they're going down the exact same path. Just, we're going to reboot this series. We're going to reboot Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But we can't come up with something original. We're going to have to do the same thing that they did with Halloween, which I know has been hugely successful, but it's also hugely shite at the same time. I'm a massive Michael Myers fan. You guys know this. I said I wasn't going to talk about this, but you know, it does tie in too well, doesn't it? They're doing the same thing. It's Legendary Pictures who are doing this, and I say it's coming out straight onto Netflix, which, you know, a lot of people go like, well, that's a bad sign, isn't it? And it is a bad sign because there's no trust in it going cinematically, theatrically. There was infighting behind the scenes. A lot of films have this, so you know it's not a major thing that. But to have your two brother directors jump ship, well, I don't know. It does sound bad, and to film it on the cheap in Bulgaria, which is why they're filming it there for obvious reasons. You know, it's economically cheap, but it's a copy. The exact same sort of format as Halloween, the new rebooted Halloween. It just smacks of just, you know, you really have just gone like, well, that worked for them. That's the only way we can get Texas Chainsaw back into the mass audience, you know, sphere. Get them to understand what we're doing here, and then we can reboot this and get maybe another couple of movies out of it. But Leatherface is now going to be, well, they're saying 60s. He's older. He's going to be older. How can he fucking swing a chainsaw around? How can he go and pursue teens or young people? Fuck off. He's not. The one thing about Leatherface is he's not supernatural. He genuinely isn't. That there's no way you can make this guy supernatural. And please don't do this. Don't go down that road. He is just a big lumbering simpleton. That's what he is. With mother issues, and he's been abused, and he's got no social awareness, no social interactivity with anybody outside of his own clan. You're going to tell me now that after the incidents of the first movie, he then became rehabilitated by living with his mother? Is that if that's the case? But that's bollocks. That's pure bollocks. He needs a lot of specialised care. He can't just exist. He can't. He'll go on killing, or just, you know, no matter who he meets, if he's living out in the woods, you know, then he can't get along with him. He's a nut job. He's got a lot of serious issues. He can't have hidden. There's no fucking way on earth this guy's hidden for that amount of time. And then suddenly, oh my God, what? And he's old. He's old. And these kids come back. How have they interfered with his life now to make him revert back to the way he used to be? I want your face. Now, of course, in the trailer, it's only a teaser trailer. You don't see Leatherface's face, his real face, and but you do see the kids, and it's a nice trailer. It kind of looks a bit more acclimatized to the Platinum Dunes versions of the movies. It's very a yellowy patina is on there. It is very dusty. It's very salty. sweaty and cloying. It's got that, but what you can see, it's not fucking Texas. I can tell you that. You know, from the buildings and the structures and the one or two sort of exterior shots that you do see, or even from the imagery from the film that we released, looking from the inside out onto the streets, that's clearly European. What the fuck are they thinking? What the fuck are they thinking? I could be corrected. When you watch the film, you would go, "Oh my god, that's a dead ringer to Texas." It could be, but from what I've seen so far, I'm not seeing that. I'm not buying that in the least. But you do have you don't really get to know the characters in the teaser. You just meet them, flashes of these people, and you will see someone hiding under the floorboards, which again is a throwback to the the remake from 2003, which looks great. This girl's hiding there. You've got people screaming upstairs and all that, and like this girl just kind of turns around, and suddenly a chainsaw comes through the floorboards, and then you see like almost like the inverse of a shark fin going across the top of the water, pursuing some hapless victim in the water. You've got this person scrambling underneath the floorboards and the chainsaw cutting its way towards them. I didn't mind that, actually. I didn't mind it. It looked quite dynamic. And then you do get like a final shot in the teaser where Leatherface, old Leatherface, picks up. Right, you guys knew I had this. Picks up a face. Oh. And like is about to put it on, and that's the iconic final shot. I don't mind that. But the problem with it is that final shot, as cool as it might seem to be, is purely Michael Myers in 2018 Halloween getting the mask back and like, oh, here we go. Oh, now we're in business. Leatherface finally wearing someone else's face. It's too obvious and too clearly ripped off from Halloween, the new trilogy. And I love Halloween. I despise the way it's taken this horrifically shit turn with this new franchise. I know, I thought you'd agree with me. But we're on a bit of a loop here, yeah? But Texas Chainsaw is a film which had a beginning, a middle, and an end, albeit in one horribly abstract, just time plucked out of time and a day incident thrown at you. It didn't have to go anywhere after that. It's just a nightmare scenario. But then, again, as always, when people go in to try and reboot these things, you give them backstories, you give them explanations, what happened next, what happened before, and it's like, oh god. And it always seems like a good idea. It did back in the 80s, it did back in the 70s when you had sort of sequels and stuff. But now, we've gone through this, and it barely ever works with any genuinely, constructive sort of, kudos to it. It just smacks entirely of business. Now, I've seen someone said on some forum, can't remember which one it was now, look, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Pinhead, Leatherface, we need all these because they're the modern day bogeymen. We've had so many sequels and variations on the Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, and yeah, I get that. I totally get that. But all those remakes back in the Universal days, where and you look back at them with nostalgic eyes, and they do work in the crazy sort of pantomime version that Universal created, and I love them to bits. The sequels are shit primarily. They're never as good as the originals, but. With the exception of Bride of Frankenstein, of course. But they're never really as good. And you get these characters remade now in big, multi-million dollar, $100 million bloody remakes of Wolfman and Dracula and the Frankenstein. You're going to get that, of course. And they are indelible, literary, iconic, cinematic bogeymen and characters, and they can be retold again and again and again, and they always will be. The problem you've got with the likes of Leatherface and Pinhead and Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees is that they are very limited in scope. You're only telling the same fucking story all over again and again and again, and it's, you can argue till the cows come home that, you know, well, it's for a new audience. These people, we're making this film for the people that didn't grow up on it, but you're using everything from those originals there and rehashing everything, and yet even that new audience, when they go out, oh, this is based on a film from a long time ago, oh, I might go and watch that now, they're going to find that film infinitely better than what you did. Oh yeah, you might have slick, you know, visuals, great effects, and well, that's always debatable, but your performances will not be as good. There's no one. All these original movies had one thing in massive common. One thing massively in common. Let's get me words right. Lightning in the bottle. Lightning in the bottle. That's what they created. I'm sorry, someone is just gesturing to me off screen there saying, tea's ready, so shut the fuck up, Kilt-Man. So I'm going to wind this up. But all those films have lightning in the bottle. Now all these remakes, these reboots, these retweaks, these reimaginings are trying to recapture the thing you can't recapture. Lightning in a bottle. They'll never do it. This film, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, is not going to capture that grueling atmosphere. The closest we came was the original, the original remake with Jessica Biel. That is fantastic. That was really clever. But that is a rarity. That's what you don't get. And you're seeing in far fewer these days with all these sequels, reboots, prequels, reimaginings. It's not working now. And I really don't see this one going too far to persuade me otherwise. But I do love Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I will be there day one. Hey! Well, I won't be there. I'll watch it on fucking Netflix. It's going Netflix, innit? It's going Netflix. That's another thing which you're going to go, oh, well, it's not going to be that great then, is it? That doesn't mean it's going to be shit. It's had a rocky production road. So, you know, and Netflix are like, okay, we'll buy this. We'll buy the franchise off you. Okay, here we go. Laughing. You know, if it does well on Netflix, then there'll be another movie. Because that's the thing as well. He's not going to die. Leatherface ain't going to die, is he? But how old's he going to be? You know, to wield one of the... That's a little tiny chainsaw there. A little tiny one. But to wield that big fucking thing, like, you know, he's now supposed to be 60 odd. 60 odd! As I said before, you know, the original came out in 74. For fuck's sake, he's going to be a hell of a lot older than that. Marilyn Burns has died. You've got this other woman playing it now. How does Sally Hardesty is going to come into this? Like Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode. You know, oh, no, let it burn! Let it burn! Oh, fuck off. We're going down the same shitty, stupid road all over again. Folks, let me know what you think about this. I'm looking forward to the soundtrack at least. The teaser trailer's out there, and there's loads of well, there's not loads, but there is sort of imagery which they've released so far. Enigmatic imagery of Leatherface in a doorway with his chainsaw silhouetted. But if you look beyond that doorway, that does not look like Texas. No fucking part of Texas looks like that. That looks like where it was filmed. Bulgaria. So, folks, anyway, I have been always shall be Kilt-Man. Please, in the meantime, and this crazy spider-bitten and chainsaw wielding in between time, please keep it Celtic, keep it Celtic. And I'm going to see you all. And there's a band playing down the road in a local boozer, so I'm just going to put me face on, put me slap on, as we say around here, get myself beautified, And off we go. Yeah. Dancing Queen.